Cancer is a complicated disease. You have it for years without developing symptoms. Our first speaker, here to share her cancer journey with a call to action, is working in pathways demonstrating effective body language. Welcome, Toastmaster Rebecca Eggleton.
All right, Rebecca. You're the best.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Your biopsy has come back positive for breast cancer. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh. No, it can't be. The doctor had no bedside manner whatsoever. He said a couple more sentences without compassion. I don't remember what he said. The nurse will be in shortly to answer your questions. Oh my gosh. It's 2008, and I'm wondering, have I just been issued a death sentence? I have two young sons, ages 3 and 5. I'm married at the time, and I'm flying in from Moscow, where I had a mammogram done at the European Medical Center. Seriously, why am I in Moscow, right? Like, what am I doing there? I had moved there in the 90s because it was all opening up lots of opportunities for consulting with Russian companies and for multinationals. I didn't have faith in the Russian medical system, so I traveled to London to have the biopsy, and this is where I heard the most disastrous news. The next day, I fly back to Moscow, and it's the weekend. I've got a big decision to make because further testing needs to be done. We have to figure out what's the stage of the cancer. And I was advised that you should have, wherever you have the testing done, is where you should have your treatment done. So what am I going to do? I know it's not Moscow, right? But where am I going to go? Fortunately, I had a very good friend who knew an excellent doctor in New York City. So now it's the weekend, and I'm flying out on Sunday to New York City. My family comes with me and meet with the doctor on Sunday night. Amazing doctor, very different from the one I had just been with in London. He moved mountains. He was able to get me appointments all that week, check, 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 and I was getting everything I needed to figure out the staging of this cancer. It was incredible. One of the tests that I had to do was they inject you with radioactive material so that your body lights up with the cancer and it figures out how far the cancer has spread. I've got so much radioactive material in me so that when I return to Moscow, now I have tripped the sensors. Flashing lights go on. The Russian authorities stop me thinking, okay, what's going on here, right? Am I going to be shipped off to Siberian Gulag where I'm carrying nuclear weapons, right? Fortunately, the doctor gave me a letter that it had explained the radioactivity's in me. I'm not carrying weapons. Yep. By that end of that week, I knew I had stage 3 breast cancer. Very, very serious. I'm only 43 years old at the time. This can't be. I have a picture taken of myself and the family together to remember the moment because I knew life would not be the same. And so I wanted to capture it. So ultimately, I moved back to Rochester, New York, which is where I'm from, and I had chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation in a combination of Rochester and New York City. My boys moved with me. My husband at the time would travel back from Moscow to Rochester, Moscow for work, Rochester for visits, balancing both of those. And I did that for almost a year during my treatment time. In life's darkest moments, you learn a lot about yourself and about your faith in God. When my neighbor in Rochester, she had her entire Bible study praying for me, which meant so much to me. And when I would drop my son off at nursery school, which was, by the way, the same nursery school I went to 40 years ago when I was 3 years old, the receptionist would say to me often, she'd take my hand and say, "We're all praying for you." That meant a lot to me. I also learned to become a better delegator, right? Because sooner or later, all of us have to confront that our number one priority is our health. Right? I hope that none of you or your loved ones ever have to hear those words, "You have cancer." I want to share a few statistics with you from the American Cancer Society. In the United States for 2024, over 300,000 women will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. Over 45,000 women will die of breast cancer in the United States in 2024. Overall, 1 in 8 women will have cancer this year. So if you look around the room in terms of the number of women we have here, a little over one of us will be diagnosed, sadly. The average age for diagnosis is 62 years. But there are a number of women, 45 and under, who are diagnosed. I'm living proof. I'm diagnosed at 43. So ladies, I want to encourage you 2 things. Number 1, talk to your physician, find out what your risk is to get a mammogram annually. Average age, if your average risk is 40 years old. Number 2 is to do self-examination of your breast on a monthly basis. It's not pleasant, we know that. You're getting squeezed into that machine, but it doesn't last that long, and the alternative can be pretty devastating. With the self-examination that you do every month, I would also encourage you to actually check under your arms, because this is where I found my cancer, was under the arms. But unfortunately, that means it had actually spread from the breast to the armpit, right? Then you all have women in your lives, your mother, your wife, your daughter, your sister, the same, mammogram and self-examination. So please, follow these steps. The life you save may be your own. Thank you.